Can you show me your build? Would you mind sharing your build that you're running? Because you're kind of running a special build that you're saying.
I studied for this build for 1 year.
Wow. Okay.
I did, and this is the final build. This actually does more DPS than the 99% of the builds.
Pre-register for Noah's Heart, a brand new, upcoming open-world MMORPG taking place in a world with no borders. A seamless map that you can explore by grapple hooking on top of buildings, flying around in jetpacks, riding vehicles like trains or boats, and of course, your own mount. Noah's Heart features phantoms, heroes created based off of historical figures, including Einstein, Darwin, Shakespeare, just to name a few. These phantoms can be pulled via a gacha system. Test your luck, draw powerful phantoms, and put them to the test in combat, clearing challenging PvE content, or by taking down other players in the upcoming PvP modes. Freedom and customization is what you'll get with Noah's Heart. Conventional class limitations is not a thing here, as you can equip any weapon of your choosing. Embody yourself as the character you wish to become by having full control over your own look in the character customization. Noah's Heart is brought to you by the same developers of Dragon Raja. Pre-register now and earn huge rewards to start your adventure, set to release late July. Don't miss out on these rewards. Links to pre-register can be found in the description below. Available for both mobile and PC client. All right, Jiudau, thank you so much for joining me here today. For those of you who don't know, Jiudau was the super Omega whale that was rank 1 across multiple classes. And him and I, we did a few videos together going over PvE content because he has a lot of experience in the PvE scene. But not only that, okay, not only does he have the rank 1 title, because the rank 1 title is a pay-to-win title, it is, but he's also very good at the game because he was also part of the team that accomplished the world first clear for Valtan Inferno, Valtan Hell Mode, and KR. That, as you guys know, is going to be coming out next month for us, and it is equalized content, and you got to be really good. Not a lot of people are actually able to clear it. So anyways, you are known to be an Arcana main, though. You've played pretty much all the classes, but Arcana is your go-to class. Is that correct?
Yeah, I love Arcana the most.
Perfect. That's awesome, because Arcana is the next class that is set to be released in the next couple of weeks here in NA, and what better person to talk to about Arcana than you? Not a lot of hype behind this class right now, and my purpose with this video is to give the audience some background information in regards to Arcana and give them an idea on how it's supposed to be played, how you play it. So this will kind of be a half introduction, half guide type of video, because I don't think too many people even know how the class works. They just hear a lot of negative things about it being kind of a tough class, floor POV class, and all that stuff, and you definitely know your shit. So let's talk about this class. So let's start with the function of the class. How does this class actually play? We're looking at your screen right now. Can you tell me about how it works, the identity, like the skills, just the basic function of it?
First of all, Arcana uses a card with the identity, and she used 12 cards, and the other one called Emperor card is for the Emperor engraving, which has 2 different engravings. She has 2 different engravings. The one is Empress and the other one is Emperor, and you only get this card for the Emperor engraving.
Okay.
There's 12 cards, but 3 cards you need to remember about for Arcana. Skull card gives you 100% crit and 50% additional crit damage for 4 seconds. So this will be the strongest DPS card.
Okay.
And the next card is called the Judgment card. And since Arcana uses her stack skill, I mean the blue skill to stack up and red skill to pop it and put DPS. And the Wheel of Destiny, this card is insane, and it just gives your cooldown back 100%.
Oh, so you get a hard reset with Awakening, so you can actually use double Awakening.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So these cards that you get, how do you actually get them, and how do you actually use them?
There's one skill called Call of Destiny. It's in Korean, so this card is Call of Destiny, and the second tripod for this card. The second tripod for this card is called Quick Draw. Okay. And for using this skill, you'll get 1 card by 40%. And this is the main skill that gives you the cards. Okay. And also, there's a tripod on the third one, which makes you attack twice with the Call of Destiny, which makes you get 2 cards by 40 each 40%. So
Gotcha.
it gives you many cards. If you use this skill a lot, right? You have to use this skill inside your cycle.
Gotcha.
So,
Is that the only skill that will allow you to get these cards? I'm sure there are other skills that allows you to get cards, right?
there are other skills, but for the Empress build, I mean, the most people, 99% of Korean players play this build.
Okay.
And we only have this skill for the card draw.
Gotcha. Okay. So you use that skill. Can you show me a rotation? What a rotation would look like?
As I told you, the Arcana needs to stack up your skills with blue skills.
Okay.
So we use the blue skills to stack up.
Okay, and I see that purple bar.
Yep.
Is that
This bar is the stack of the boss, and it got patched recently. This purple bar looking patch. We didn't even have that before, so you have to look at the boss's head to look at the cards. But
okay, we see 2 blue cards there. Yep.
Yeah, so it's more easier for us to count how many cards we stacked up. And
okay, so just so that we're a little bit more clear for someone that's completely oblivious to this class and, you know, maybe even a little bit newer to the game in general, can you kind of just break it down really simply, step by step, what the following procedure would be?
Okay.
With a very brief explanation.
We first meet the boss and use the E skill, which is drawing card.
Right.
And then we stack up with the blue skill. I'm using the blue skill right now. And the F skill is for the synergy that gives your party members 10% of crit for 10 seconds.
Right.
And also this gives you 77.5 critical damage for 5 seconds for only you.
Okay. Wow.
So before we use
big
our
crit damage
DPS skill, we always have to use the synergy skill.
Gotcha.
It's called return. Let's do it again. Yellow skill for the card draw and use the blue skills to stack up.
Okay, so I see you've got four purple cards right there. I'm assuming that's max stacks.
Yep, that's the max stack. And you put the synergy in.
Synergy in.
Let me do the stacks. This goes away for if you don't hit the boss for like 5 or 10 seconds.
Right, okay.
It goes away. So stack up and put in synergy, and then you use your ult. Like this. And you still get your stack because
you keep your stacks.
Yeah, the awakening keeps your stacks, so you can use the other red skills right away after using that.
Okay, so you're drawing with yellow, you're building with blue, and you're spending with red.
Yep.
Okay,
that is right.
Gotcha. So we're drawing with his E, and we're actually kind of going into your own build, which I'd like to talk to you about in a second here. But the basic rotation for your build is you're drawing with E, you're building with your Q and D and A. Are you also building with Q, A, and D? Are those all 3 builders right there?
Yep.
Okay, and if you don't have your ultimate, could you show us how you would spend it between your W, R, and S?
I can just show the cycle shortly. And then you wait for the blue stacks. It will give you back. Why I'm not using the cycle, the yellow skill, because this is something advanced, but the W skill, we have 504% of critical damage.
Wow.
For this skill. So it's not efficient to have 77.5 more crit damage with this skill. So
right. Jesus, 504%.
Yeah, 504% for this skill.
Wow. Those are some big numbers. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Now, can you tell us how the cards play a factor into the DPS? Because there's a lot of chance here because you're drawing cards with your E skill, right? Can you kind of show me how that factors into the gameplay style of Arcana?
This could be a little bit fast, but this skill, I mean, for 30%, the boss, I mean, you put a debuff to boss.
Deal 10% more damage to the target for 5 seconds. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just flat 10% damage to the target. It's a 30% chance to.
30% chance.
Okay. Gotcha. So that's what that card does.
Yeah.
Okay.
This card's not really important, so you can just draw it. You can just use it when you get it.
When you get it, just use it. Just spam it.
And as I told you, the skull card is the best DPS card. So the most time when we use this card, it's when you use your awakening. It gives you 100% for your awakening and more crit damage
More
to
crit
your
damage.
awakening. So we use this skill when we use our awakening or when we mix up the cards with the judgment card. When we have both the cards, the judgment and killing cards, those two are the best card couples that we can use while playing Arcana, and it gives you the maximum damage for the Arcana, the highest damage you can get with your character. And
now, to be good at Arcana, you will have to know every single one of those cards, though, right?
You will have to remember all those cards, all the effects for
okay, so what you're seeing on your screen is what it is. So it's like you got to kind of just memorize the picture, right?
Yes.
Okay, so essentially 12 cards that you're going to really have to memorize based off of the look. Now, are they all just pretty much buffs, debuffs, extra damage, and stuff like that? Are there any negative effect cards that you can get?
There was a negative effect card for the Twisted Fate, but they buffed this card, so we don't get any debuffs. We got 15% decrease for our skills or 40% increase to our skill damage. But they just deleted the debuff.
Just deleted it. Okay.
Yeah, and we only get 0 to 40% of damage.
Gotcha. Now, how different does your skill rotation become based off of the cards that you get? Is it vastly different, or is it just pretty much a similar rotation minus maybe 1 or 2 skills here and there?
I think it's the after one. I mean,
okay.
You don't get your cycle that much different for the cards you get. So the basic cycle, you get the basic cycle as standard, and for the cards you pick, it changes a little bit, but it doesn't change a lot. So
gotcha.
It's not really hard. If you remember all the cards, it's not really hard class to play.
Okay. Gotcha. And I see that you have 2 cards that you can lock in, right? So there's a Z and an X there. So there are 2 cards that you can draw at once. Okay.
Yep.
So that you can kind of play around those 2. So it's not just one and throw away. So you are going to be forced to use whatever card that you get, though, right? So like you have Z and X locked in there. And are you ever in a situation where you're just going to hit E again, then draw over something? Or are you always just using all the cards that you get?
We have to use all the cards. We don't have any throwing cards.
Okay, so if you hit E again right now, you will not be able to replace the cards that you have on Z and X.
No.
Gotcha. So you're locked into the cards that you actually have. A lot of people call this class like the luck-based class, and your DPS is heavily reliant on the cards that you get. How true would you say that is?
I mean, I think it's minimum 20%.
20%? Okay.
50%.
Gotcha. I understand. All right. Well, I think that's a great breakdown of the general play style of how the class actually works. Can you walk us through your personal build? You were telling me earlier that 99% of Koreans are playing a single build. Can you walk us through what that build is? I'm assuming that that's the build that you're using as well.
Actually, I'm not using the 99% build.
Okay.
I'm using the build that I made by myself.
Okay, special build. Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Can you walk us through maybe both? Like maybe show us what the meta build is and then what your build is in relation to that maybe?
Okay. This build is called 332 build, which I'm using 3 blue skills, 3 red skills, and 2 yellow skills. We call it 332 build. And for this build, you have 3 skills to for the DPS skill and 3 skills for the stack skill, and 1 skill for the drawing card, and 1 skill for synergy. And the basic mechanism for this skill is we use the rain and the secret garden all the time, but we sometimes keep this skill serendipity for the judgment card. We save this card for the judgment card because you guys can see it because it's Korean, but if I translate this, when you first hit this card, okay, there's 2 hits for this card. You hit twice, the first hit and the second hit, like this. But when you first hit with this skill, it uses the stack, so the second hit doesn't affect on the stacks. It just goes onto 0 stack, and you won't have any damage for the second hit. But with Judgment card, I told you that you're not going to be using your stack skill before your red skill. So it's giving you free stacks for your red skills. The card called Judgment, and I'll just show you about this.
Okay.
This is Judgment card, and it gives you four stacks for 4 seconds. So if I use my stack skill, the red skill, I mean the rune skill, it doesn't do much damage like this.
Right.
And also for the serendipity, if I use it, it blows up the first hit, right? So the second hit doesn't do a damage. Like this. The second hit does 800k, but the first one does about 37k. I mean, a lot more, 37 million, right? So if I use the judgment skill, I'll just show you without any stacks. I don't need to stack up. I just use the red skills right away by not using the stack skills. So you can burst the damage of your 3 rune skills in 2 seconds.
Gotcha. It's just a big fast boost or a burst that you could use. So this is, did you say this was your personal build or was this the meta build?
This is the meta build that 99% of people use.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And this is called the 332.
Yeah, this is the Empress build for 332.
Empress build 332. Can you show us the engravings that you're writing on this build for the meta build?
I'm using the Grudge, Cursed Doll, Barricade, Headmaster, Adrenaline, and Empress 1. Okay. We use the Empress 1 because for the Empress 1, you only get 20% of damage increase for your rune skill. But at Empress 3, you get 30%, so there's only 10% gap. So we use level 1 for the Empress 1.
Gotcha.
It's more efficient. Yep.
Gotcha. So Barricade, I've been asking people, a lot of people have been asking about Barricade. Where are you getting the benefit from Barricade from?
Since we only have 3 DPS skill that I showed you, the Rain, Serendipity, and the Secret Garden, we can put the Protection Rune for this skill, and while we're using the skill, it gives you the shield. So when you use your DPS skill all the time, it gives you the additional damage for the barricade engravings. Right.
Gotcha. Very interesting. Can you show us what the counter looks like from this meta build?
We have 2 counter for this. One is your synergy, the return, and the second one is serendipity. And I mean, the good thing for the return counter is that you can actually do the counter right away, like this. But since it doesn't have super armor, even level 1 super armor, so when the boss moves and you have to counter it, it could be hard sometimes.
You can get interrupted, right?
Yeah. So at those situations, we rather use the serendipity, which has the level 1 super armor, and also it has stagger middle. For the counter, we can hit both of attacks count as a counter. So we prefer to use this one as counter most of the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How expensive would you say this class is to build up? Is it just pretty much on par with most of the other classes as far as like gearing this class up? Or is this a class that's typically a little bit more expensive or maybe even a little bit cheaper to play and build up? I
mean, actually, for this character, it's going to be released next month, right? So it's going to be a new class, and there won't be many accessories with the class engravings. So it has to be expensive for the tripods, the accessories, those stuff at first. But to be honest, in Korea, there's not much people who plays Arcana as their main. And there's also not much people who wants to play this class. So
why is that? Is it because it's a very squishy class and kind of like Reaper? But I see a lot of people playing Reaper in Korea. Like, why is that?
I think it's mostly because of the remembering cards and the cycles.
Oh, okay. Remembering those 12 cards in the cycles that you have to. Gotcha.
Yeah.
How rewarding is this class for you to play? Like once you memorize the cards, is it like, would you recommend this class for someone that's up for the challenge? Is it like, can you just, like, for example, Striker, like if I was going to tell you my experience with Deathwill Striker, I would tell you, man, you know, it's just, it feels great because you just get these huge, massive numbers, you know, 400 mil damage on one Tiger Strike and bam, you know what I mean? And, you know, whatever that may be, like, how would you describe your experience playing this game, like, or this class rather, for someone that's interested or thinking about playing this class?
Since this class got buffed a lot recently after the balance patch in Korea, it got like 15% buffed. I mean, you get one more additional engravings than before, right? So it got buffed a lot. So I think this class is tier okay, on a very high tier.
Okay.
I'm not okay. I'm gonna save my words for the later videos. Maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And this class is actually one of the highest tier classes in Korea. And if you're going to play as your main, this will be having a big potential. But if you want to play as your alt, I do not really recommend you to play this as an alt because you also have to remember all the cards, and also it has really squishy. It's really squishy, and yeah, that's all the cons for this class as an alt.
Right. Gotcha.
You won't see the big damage for the alt, so not really recommended for the alt.
Gotcha. I understand. All right. I was going to actually go over the pros and cons at the end, but real quick, before we get ahead of ourselves, can you show me your build? Would you mind sharing your build that you're running? Because you're kind of running a special build that you're saying.
I studied for this build for 1 year.
Wow. Okay.
I did, and this is the final build. This actually does more DPS than the 99% of the builds. This is recommended for more than 6 months who played Arcana.
Okay.
So it could be a little bit hard, and I'll just show you briefly about the cycle.
Okay.
Since I didn't have the mana food, I'll put the mana engravings.
Okay.
Oh, and just to show you the engraving. Oh, the engraving is Grudge, Keen Blunt, Crystal, Raid Captain, and Adrenaline 2, and Emperor 1 and Empress 1. We use 2 class engravings with this. We use 6 Dominion Fang without using the Awakening engravings. So you know that the Energy Overflow one used same mechanic with this, right? She used Awakening. I mean, she used the Dominion Fang without Awakening. So yeah, when we get the Awakening effect, I mean the Domination effect, the cycle is something like this. It's a little bit complicated, but it really does look cool when you use it.
Wow, that's a lot of numbers.
And you get a lot of cards, so you have to use your cards really carefully. I mean, you have to be skillful using your cards.
Gotcha. So this is a lot more of a higher APM class.
Yeah, higher APM and higher DPS class if you use it well.
Wow. Okay, so like as you're doing this, I mean, you're really monitoring these cards. That's affecting your rotation, right? You are changing your rotation a little bit based off of the cards that you are getting through this.
Oh, the simple part is that, I mean, the cycle never changes.
The cycle actually never changes, no matter what cards you get.
No, never changes.
Wow. Okay. Even with the big judgment, what's it called, the judgment card that you're saying, that it doesn't matter. You're just dumping the cards in the same rotation over and over again.
The judgment card does not do a good job for this build, so I just throw it right away when I get it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
For this build, there's some different cards, which is very important, which is called, let me just show you. Okay. Which is called the Star card, RNG class. I mean, the Gamble class. I have to pick for the cards, but it's not showing up. I have to draw it for like 10 minutes.
While you're drawing that, I was gonna ask you, like, if you are reliant on a certain card, what are the odds of getting it? Are all the cards drawn at the same rate? So like 1 in 12, or 1 in 13, or do certain cards have a higher chance to drop?
That is true. We have all different percentages by getting these cards.
Wow, so lower percentage for like better cards.
Yes.
This build is less reliant. Would you say it's less reliant on the cards that you get compared to the other build?
Less reliance, but still, if we don't get enough star cards, we will run out of the manas. Even we have supporters and also the foods.
Okay, gotcha.
So it really relies on the cards sometimes.
Okay.
And this card gives you mana 100% back. I mean, you get full mana right away after using this. And also, it decreases your cooldown by 15% right away. So when I use my first cycle, after using my first cycle, if I use the star card, it gives me the cooldown back a lot. So this does a really good job for the DPS on this build. And for the other cards, I think this there's not much there's not many different, important cards for this build. So yeah, I think the start card is the most important for this build.
Gotcha.
But it's really hard to play this build, so
yeah, I think this is interesting because you're saying that this is a higher APM build, but at the same time, you're not as reliant at you're not changing your rotation. I feel like having to change your rotation based off the cards that you get, I feel like would be kind of a turnoff for a lot of players. But if you if you're saying that there's a build that you could play that technically does higher damage but requires more APM, but you get to keep doing the same rotation over and over again, I think that would be maybe a lot more appealing to some people for sure. Interesting. And you wouldn't find this on Loa On, that's for sure. That's awesome. So one last question before we get to the pros and cons. What gear set would you recommend for both either the meta build and your build?
For the meta build, you have to use a Nightmare set 100%.
Nightmare 100%. Full set Nightmare.
Yep, full set of Nightmare. And for my build, you guys are gonna find using Dominion Fang without using Awakening Engravings.
Okay. Final section here. Let's just briefly go over the pros and cons for this class in general, would you say?
For the pros, when you first play, you'll have a lot of fun because first, it's a Booba class.
It's a Booba class?
Yeah. And second, there's 12 cards that you have to remember, but it could be annoying for someone, but it could be really exciting to learn about the cards and using at the different situations of your cycles. That would be really fun if you enjoy it. And also, it has really high DPS at the end game. So if you want to make her as your main, I strongly recommend to play this character. And it's really fun and it's really strong at the end game. And you only need 3 damage gems for the common build.
For the common build, you only need 3 damage gems. So the common build, it would be a little bit cheaper to build this character up then compared to other classes. Okay, interesting. All right, cool. Any other notable pros?
I think that's the big part of the pros for the Arcana.
Okay, so let me just kind of backtrack a little bit here because we did talk about this class and you did not recommend it as an alt strictly because of the learning curve, because you got to learn all these cards, right? But if you don't care about that, if we're looking from a cost-effective, cost-efficient alt, like for example, Scouters and Demonics are cheaper alts because they're transformation classes, right? Or even supports, it doesn't require as much gear as an alt or something like that, right? From a money and gold standpoint, Arcana, the classic build, it sounds like it actually wouldn't be a bad alt to have because you only need 3 damage gems. Is that fair to say or not really?
It is fair to say.
Okay, cool. What about the cons? Let's talk about the cons.
About the cons, you guys all know that it's very squishy. Same as the Reaper Bard without the Heavy Armor 3. It's the squishiest class in Lost Ark. And the cons can be pros, but since it has 12 cards, it will be a little bit hard at the first time you play. Remembering cards and the cycles. And
those are the main two. Just the learning curve, remembering the cards, and being swishy pretty much, right?
Yeah, I think that's all for the cons.
Okay.
I don't actually find anything hard with this character. I mean, except for those 2 if you're playing at the first time. But I don't think anything is hard.
How would you say the mobility is with this class? We didn't really talk too much about the mobility.
Oh, for my build, I mean, for the common build at first, for the common build, mobility is actually good because you have one more skill besides spacebar that you can move a long distance, which is called the Scratch Dealer. And can I just show it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please do. I like how you named the preset 332.
Oh yeah, I actually did name the preset 332. And there's one for 2-2 build, and this is for the actual beginners. I mean, this is the build, and for the spacebar, it moves like this distance.
Well, that's a big space. Wow.
We have one more moving.
Oh wow.
Moving skills. I mean dodging skills that we can use.
Yep.
For a long distance. So if you mix it up with your space bar, you can go
quite
really
far.
Really far.
Yeah. Wow. That's fast too.
Yeah, and the cooldown is only 5 seconds. For this
only 5 seconds for that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What is the stat priority, by the way, for this?
The stat priority?
Yes, for the meta build.
I mean, all spec, all specialization, and the others
secondary.
for the...
Okay. Is this for the meta build only, or for also your build as well?
Oh yeah, this is only for the meta build.
Only for meta build. Okay.
Yeah.
What about for your build?
For my build, we're using the Dominion Fang without Awakening engraving, so we have to use the full swiftness with
full
crit.
Swiftness. Gotcha. Gotcha.
It's going to be like this.
So your build just feels faster, just to begin with. Even just with the swiftness to begin with, your build just feels faster.
It is way faster.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, so one last question. I actually forgot to ask this. What would you say is the entry level for this class? So what I mean by that is this. Striker, for example. Again, just because I know Striker pretty well here. Striker, for example, it's Deathblow Striker, like it's shit early, right? Like when you're tier 2 or early tier 3 with not much spec and no tripods and runes, it's garbage, right? But it gets really good once you get that, and it requires a lot of time to get that, right? Versus other classes like Mayhem Zerker, just feels strong early, right? Just really strong early, like even at tier 2, whatever.
True.
What about Arcana? When would it start feeling good? Does it require a lot of investment to actually play the class the way it's supposed to be played, or does it feel good early as people are leveling it up, maybe like early tier 3 and stuff like that?
Oh, it's very simple. Since you get 6 nightmare set, you guys feel it really good for this character. But before you get full nightmare set, you guys can feel why is class so bad.
Oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha. I understand. Perfect. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to add to this? Maybe some final thoughts or final comments on the class for the video?
Nothing too much.
Hey, Jiudau, thank you so much for doing this. Guys, if you want to check out Jiudau, please, like this guy is just well known in the Lost Ark community, not only because like you guys might know him in the Western community as like that ranked #1 whale, but this guy's actually really good. Arguably the best Arcana in the world, okay? Just a really, really good player, especially across all classes, but especially with Arcana. Check him out, especially when Arcana drops. Guys, I would highly recommend you guys checking out his channel when he's streaming live on Twitch. He streams all the time, and learning Arcana from him if you are interested in learning how to play Arcana. Where can we find you? We can find you on Twitch and YouTube. I'll definitely link that in the description below. How often are you streaming right now, Jiudau?
I actually stream every single day, Korean time, 6 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Wow. Okay. So
every day.
So he's starting at 6 p.m. Korean time. That would be 5 a.m. Eastern, depending on daylight savings. Right now, it'll be about 5 a.m. roughly, all the way through 3 a.m., which would be like 2 p.m.-ish, NA Eastern time. So definitely check him out. Jiudau, as far as this video goes, thank you so much for taking the time and joining me here for this video, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having an interview with me.
All right. Thank you, guys. All right. We'll see you in the next video. See ya.